Hello, I'm Andy Burke, and this is the Scottish Football Podcast. All the news, views and analysis you need on Thursday, the 30th of October. And what a night we saw in the Premiership last night.
A real chance and a goal for Konecny. They're in behind the defence and he slams it home. No dramas for O'Neill on his return to Glasgow's East End.
After 20 years, Martin O'Neill back in the dugout at Celtic and his team eased past Falkirk. Meanwhile, a big win for Rangers at Easter Road against Hibs.
Danilo looking to get a strike off. That's a fabulous finish from Danilo. And Danilo gives Rangers the lead inside 5 minutes. And it's Hibernian 0, Rangers 1.
Danny Rowell goes into Sunday's League Cup semi-final on the back of 2 league wins. Meanwhile, league leaders Hearts saw their lead cut at the top of the table after a draw in Paisley.
A defeat would have been so harsh on us today. I thought we were the team that tried to play and move the ball quickly and try to get it side to side, and listen, it's a point, we'll move on.
You've got all your Premiership bases covered.
The Scottish Football Podcast from BBC Sports Scotland.
Well, joined this morning by John Walker, coach and analyst, and Lee Miller, former Aberdeen, Dundee United, Hearts, Falkirk and Kilmarnock striker. Good morning, lads. Lee, it has been some week, even by Scottish football standards. It has been a little bit bonkers, hasn't it?
It's been a wee bit box office, to say the least. It's just, do you know what it is? It's typical Scottish football. When you think, I don't know if there was a last time that the two Old Firm managers changed before Halloween, if anything. So, if anything, from an onlooker from the outside, it's gold. And then obviously the games last night produced a few twists and turns, which is going to happen from now to the end of the season. So, exciting times in Scottish football.
Yeah, John, some people might criticise the quality of our football in our league, but for storylines, Scottish football remains untouchable.
Yeah, I actually think it's been a brilliant season. I think the quality of Scottish football has actually been improving. Maybe Rangers and Celtic are the difference to that. Maybe they're kind of stuck. They've kind of dropped maybe a wee bit in quality, but the rest, I think, I've said that a couple of times, I think this will be the shortest distance between first and sixth that we'll ever have seen in Scottish football. I think that'll be the tightest it's ever been. I think St Mirren just proved that last night. I don't think there's anyone in the league that will go to St Mirren and comfortably come away with 3 points and have an easy ride. And I think that I didn't find the Hearts result a surprise at all last night. I thought that was pretty par for the course, to be honest.
Well, let's start with Celtic, guys. It has been the big story of the week. Martin O'Neill back in the dugout, as I say, after 20 years away. And Lee, from his pre- and post-match interviews, I think he still seems to be taking it in that he is actually back as Celtic manager.
I thought his interviews have been brilliant. Even from him getting asked about Mark Folling coming in, he's like, I don't know why we brought him in, and it'll be great for the club. So, no, I just think it gives those two young managers, coaches, Sean Maloney and Mark Folling, an opportunity to work under Martin O'Neill. I think they'll take most of the training and different bits and bobs, and Martin O'Neill will probably do the kind of media stuff and team talks and that. But just having him around, you can see the atmosphere building in Celtic Park. I don't know how they played last night. I've never seen the game, but obviously they came out comfortable winners in the end against Falkirk. So, and I've seen a few clips about clips on about a kind of squabbling on the pitch and fighting for each other, and that looks as if it's changed. That looks as if it's kind of sparked up a wee bit, and the players want to fight for the manager, which is interesting. So, yeah, it's another comfortable result, comfortable performance, I think. On to the next one at the weekend.
Yeah, and he got a terrific reception, as you would expect at Celtic Park on his return, Martin O'Neill. John, but he's kind of said himself, you know, he knows the status he's got with the fans, and I think he would have expected that great reception, but he made the point, you know, that only lasts so long until the football starts and the results need to come. That was, you know, the perfect start. I'm sure there's room for improvement, but 4-0, given the way they've been kind of struggling lately, that he couldn't ask for much more in his first game, could he?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was very similar to the Falkirk game at the start of the season as well in the Cup, but I think it's probably no disrespect to John McGlynn and Falkirk, it's probably the perfect opposition to have at Parkhead for your first game. If you could have picked one in the league, somebody who plays decent football against you, we'll try and have a go, we'll give you some opportunity. I think it probably was the perfect foil for them. I think they looked okay. But again, it was a game I expected them to comfortably win, whether Brendan Rodgers was there, whether Martin O'Neill was there, whether they put Scott Brown in the stands for the first time. I think they would have taken 3 points and would have scored a few goals in that game, irrespective.
And a couple of goals for Johnny Kenny, Lee, and he's a guy that's found opportunities difficult to come by. And when he has come into the team, he's maybe struggled a wee bit, but a couple of goals, that will do a huge amount for his confidence.
Yeah, it's something I was just thinking about that actually, because I've seen him a couple of times, Johnny Kenny, and I felt sorry for him because he actually, me being a striker, I watch the striker's movement and stuff. His striker movement is really good. He plays on the shoulder. Whenever the ball's ready to come in from across, he's always darting across the defender, trying to get on the end of it. And he's got on the end of a lot of opportunities in games I've seen. And he's just not had that killer instinct, or he's just not had that wee rub of the green or bit of luck in front of goal. And he gets that last night, 2 goals, and hopefully he can grab a bit of confidence from that. And Martin O'Neill, I'm sure, will install that in him and kind of back him in terms of that. So hopefully he can kick on and play some more football and score some goals for Celtic, because you can see he is a talent. He is clever up top. He knows which runs to make, but it's just not been falling for him this season.
How do you think Martin O'Neill and Sean Maloney will change things for the time they're in, John, in terms of how Celtic are playing? I saw a few fans commenting that there was a bit more intensity about Celtic last night and maybe willing to go direct a little more than perhaps they have been under Brendan Rodgers. How do you see Celtic kind of in terms of their shape and what they're trying to do changing over this next little period? I
don't think there's a whole lot they can do without a transfer window. I think they're kind of set with the squad they've got. I don't think we'll see much changes, to be honest. I think you maybe see Maida come back in, but it's interesting to see that a few fans did say they went quite direct at times, and that's what Johnny Kenny will let you do. If you put Maida back at centre forward, you can't do that. You need to then play a wee bit more football. I don't think Celtic are going to turn around and change the way they play. I think Sean Maloney plays that type of football. Mark Fotheringham, although a kind of smaller sample size, has done the same at the clubs he's been at, or the clubs that he's coached at have been good football inside. So I wouldn't imagine there'll be any direct football, any change to style. I think you're going to see what you're going to see until such time as a new manager or a transfer window has been picked. But I think where Rangers probably differ from Celtic is Celtic do tend to have a kind of DNA and have had for the last 10 years, and the different managers have picked from Dial onwards. So I don't think that'll be a move away that they'll make through their ownership. I think it will be there'll be a Celtic DNA that will kind of continue through that club, and I don't expect the style of football to change too much.
Well, there's when there's a vacancy, and we don't know how long Martin O'Neill and Sean Maloney are planning to be there. Martin's saying, quite clearly, I am interim. Interim means interim. I'm not expecting to be, given a few games, do well and get the job permanently. And of course, the speculation over who'll be next in the door, Lee, is gathering pace. Ange Postecoglou, a lot of fans would love to see him back, but there's other names now coming into the frame. Kieran McKenna, Craig Bellamy seems to be getting a bit of traction with the bookies. I mean, how do you see this shaping up? Who do you think would be the one you might expect to see coming in at Celtic?
It's hard to call. I think Martin O'Neill, Sean Maloney and Matt Fotheringham will be loving life in there. They'll be just what Celtic need. That wee buzz, that different voice, talking to you in the training ground every day, installing, and they don't, like John said there, they don't have to change much in terms of their play. They just have been off it, and for some reason it's just went stale at Celtic from Brendan Rodgers, and I don't know why that is, but sometimes it just needs a change of manager, a change of coach, somebody with slightly different ideas but still try to play the right football. In terms of who will want it, I think Sean Maloney will probably want it deep down. There's no doubt about that. I don't think the fans will accept that. I'm not sure. But listen, see if he goes on a run of 7, 8, 9, 10 games with really good football, attractive football, winning games. I don't know if you can look elsewhere. But I like McKenna, I like that shout. Bellamy as well, I've listened to a few of his interviews recently. He wants to play football, he understands the game, he's obviously been at Celtic as well. So there's a few interesting ones. Ange, I doubt he would come back. I don't think he's in the frame for it. But
Why is that, Lee? Just
I don't know. I think
ruining his legacy, maybe.
He's been through the ringer, hasn't he? Recently, if he comes back to Celtic and it doesn't work out, what's next for him then? So I don't know. He's probably want to try and kind of guard that legacy that he's got at Celtic. So I don't think he'll be in the frame, but I think it'll probably be between Bellamy and then McKenna.
Just a quick word on Falkirk, John. Obviously a real disappointing night for them last night, but still 7th in the table and going along all right, so no need to panic after that.
No, I think their run of fixtures coming up, I say Rangers aside, that's probably a comment more for now than it was the last time they played them, but Rangers aside, I think this is probably where home to Kilmarnock, home to Livingston, then Dundee United away, I think they need to start picking up points from there if they're going to kind of pull away and maybe stay away from relegation, because it is, like I said, I think the same thing's going to be true about the relegation battle, but it won't be the shortest difference, because last season you had 3 teams that could have been done in the last 4 weeks, so I think they need to start picking up points, because then you're into Rangers, Motherwell, who are in amazing form, Hibs away, Celtic, and then Kilmarnock away. It's this next couple of weeks they need to start picking up 4, 5, 6 points.
Yeah, it was a huge win for Celtic last night against Falkirk. Huge victory for Rangers at Easter Road last night. A real first domestic test for Danny Roll, and boy, he needed that win. They had to obviously ride their luck a little bit, Lee, with Jack Butland's penalty save in the dying minutes, but the result, and I think the clean sheet, given the way Rangers have been defending this season, will mean a lot to them.
Yeah, massively. The clean sheet, I think, is one of the biggest ones, because I don't know how many games it's been. John will maybe be able to tell us that, but I only seen the kind of tail end of the second half last night, and I thought they looked much more solid. And what I hear from people talking, they probably deserved their win. And then, they had to ride their luck with Jack Butland saving the penalty in the end. But I think we're talking about away fixtures to go to. Hibs is such a difficult away fixture to go and get your first away win with a clean sheet is massive for Danny Rowe, massive for him.
What are you seeing in the early games, John, under Danny Roll, in terms of what he is changing about this Rangers team?
Just try and stop conceding goals. It doesn't matter what type of Rangers team you have there. Some of the worst Rangers teams will always score goals. If you can find a way to keep clean sheets, you only need one goal to win a game. I know I'm sounding like Michael Owen there. Pretty basic information. If you find a back five, keep a clean sheet, Rangers are always going to create a chance a game and score a goal. That's never going to be the problem. We will score goals. So it's just that. He's brought a little bit of structure. The back five, which is something that I've felt for a very long time Rangers could have been doing with the amount of centre-halves they had, especially like when I looked at the last couple of seasons where we were playing people who weren't wingers in wide areas to try and fulfil this 4-3-3 when we had great attacking fullbacks that could play wing-back and we had a few centre-halves that could have played. I'm glad somebody's kind of seen it and going, just get as many defenders in there. You kind of clog up space. Maybe it's better, it's luck than it is design, but clog up the space, defend, and just nick the chance you get. Kilmarnock was a more convincing performance, but like Lee said, Hibs have been in amazing form at home. Hibs is hard to go to. Hibs, we didn't win there last season. We drew both games, conceded 5 goals. So it's just that. There's a little more structure. The times to press are clearly on. Magoma seems to prefer the comfort of having somebody behind him, knowing that there's that bit of coverage with Cornelius and another centre-half behind him. You're seeing him actually look like a Premier League academy footballer that we've taken on loan. Mikey Moore's getting there or thereabouts. I think it asks a lot of the 2 centre mids though to be alone there against a free. And I think Connor Barron, that penalty he gave away last night comes from the fact that he looked like he ran himself into the ground.
He was on his last leg, wasn't he?
It looked like he'd cramp about 4 different times.
He was coming off 5 minutes before that, I think.
Exactly. Dio was ready to come on for Barron and it just looked lazy. But I think when you look at that, you look at Dio and Raskin on Saturday, you look at Barron and Raskin last night, the work rate's there. And I know Cornelius said that about people running for each other, which is a big bugbear of mine when players start saying things like that, because you were still paid your wages 3 weeks ago under a different manager, and that shouldn't be forgotten. But I think what happens when you remove such a significant shield for abuse as Russell Martin was at the time. When he goes, the players have to step up now, because they got away pretty much scot-free that entire campaign under Russell Martin.
Yeah, well, Danilo scored the goalie. Lovely finish, and I don't know if you caught the scenes with his dad at the end of the game, who was going absolutely mental in the stands. It was a lovely scene. But throwing it forward to the League Cup semi-final, do you see him going up top again off the back of that?
I don't know. There's competition for places now. I think somebody commented, I can't remember who it was commenting how good a finisher Danilo is. He doesn't smash and lash at things. He places most of his finishes, and that's a great finish. Reverse, roll down his feet, reverse into the corner from that distance. Incredible finish. And it was just great to see the scenes of his dad. I actually thought somebody was winding me up when they said that. It was his dad. Brilliant to see. Just the emotion and the love he's got for Rangers and his son, obviously.
Yeah, that's what it's all about, isn't it? Just a word on Hibs, John. I think David Gray will be frustrated. Obviously, the Jamie McGrath's penalty at the end was a big chance to get something from the game, but maybe in an attacking sense, just in that final third, they flattered to deceive a little bit.
I think they had chances. I just think it was one of those games that Rangers defended really well. I think I feel like, because he's Scottish, I feel like John Souttar's like a child of mine. I'm always quite defensive of John Souttar when Rangers fans have a go at him. I'm a bit like, I think if John Souttar was for him, we probably wouldn't pick on every single mistake he ever makes, because I think more often than not, especially in backs to walls away games, John Souttar stands up and puts himself on the line all the time. And I think you see that for Scotland. So I don't think, to be fair, I don't think Hibs did it wrong. I think Hibs were probably slightly the better side in what was a very 50-50 game. I just think when it comes down to Rangers defended well. Jack Butland did a few good saves. I mean, a brilliant save from the penalty, but that's his 8th saves for a penalty since he's been in at Rangers, and the second time he stopped Jamie McGrath from different clubs. I just think it was that. I think Hibs will be absolutely fine. I mean, if you take Hibs into the position they were in this time last year, they've been the best team in the league over the 12 months. So I think they'll be absolutely all right. And if you've got a situation where Martin Boyle's your third choice striker, you're probably doing something right, to be honest.
Well, lads, let's turn our attention to the league leaders' Hearts, and not the first time this season they've had a tough time in Paisley Lee, and it was an incredible game, great advert for Scottish football. Hearts are going to drop points along the way. They've been going so well, but again, they've come back. They're still unbeaten, and as John said right at the top, every team going to Paisley will have a tough time of it. So it might not turn out to be the worst point in the world come the end of the season.
Oh, definitely not the worst point. The fact that they finished the game so strong and could have potentially won it with a disallowed goal. I think I listened to Derek McKinney's interview, and he was delighted the way they finished. They're going to drop points here and there, but so are Celtic and Rangers. That's the thing. It's going to be a rollercoaster season. Yes, they're leading the way, but Derek's he's been firm in saying that they're not getting carried away. Let's see where we are after 2 rounds of fixtures, and he says all the right things. He knows the league, understands the league, but it was a good advert for Scottish football. St Mirren, like we said, is a really difficult place to go. Stephen Robinson always says his team's fired up. They're big, physical, and they take the game to whatever team it goes there. So for them to come away from Hearts, to come away from there with a point is still a really good result, and it still keeps them top of the league.
Yeah, and I think the St Mirren fans were pretty angry at the VAR decision that ruled out the goal that would have taken them 3-1 up, so things could have been very different. But, I mean, the lead's still 6 points at the top, John, for Hearts. Obviously, the Old Firm meeting the League Cup semi-final this weekend. So you look at the run of fixtures coming up, Hearts, and maybe an opportunity to keep this run going.
Yeah, I mean, I think Hearts, I think what people underestimate in the kind of world of modern football is that Rangers, Celtic are in Europe and could potentially still be. I mean, I know Rangers have got an uphill task, but they'll be in Europe till after Christmas because the way the Europa League's split now anyway. The difference that fans sometimes forget is the lack of training sessions that you have and certain things you work on. Hearts are the best team in the league from set plays. They can dedicate a full training session to set plays against the opposition they're coming up for, whereas Rangers players are probably lucky to have a full training session in a week where Europe's on or midweek games are on or the schedule gets moved around. Hearts can prepare. Hearts will be prepared for every single team they've got coming up. I think Hearts, looking at their fixtures, I think Hearts could realistically win their next 5 games. There's a real case for every one of them, depending on how Aberdeen turn out. But again, the thing I kept saying to my pals and other Rangers fans was around we do not know. Similar to what Derek McInnes is saying about the 2 rounds of fixtures. You don't know what a bad point or a good point is based on the previous seasons. When Rangers drew at St Mirren, I was like, St Mirren always take points off Celtic, they'll take points off Hearts. Dundee drew at Ibrox. That was a surprise to me, and I still think that's a poor result. But then Dundee go and smash Celtic. Rangers drew away at Motherwell. There was 1 point Motherwell 3-0 up against Hearts at Tynecastle, which I don't think anyone else will do this season. So it is interesting to see where the league points are. Like I look at Hearts v Dundee and go, that's a home win. But then I also go, Dundee have looked really good and really prepared in the 2 games against Rangers and Celtic. So I think Hearts, there's a case for them winning the next 5 games in a row. But also, I'm with Derek McInnes. Till the second round of fixtures are done, and then we'll have a good idea of who the good teams are this season and who the cannon fodder teams are this season.
Yeah, and it's been a sticky October for St Mirren up to this point. Lost to Kilmarnock, lost to Aberdeen, lost to Dundee United. So as much as, at points, Stephen Robinson would have maybe been thinking they were on course for 3 points last night. Actually, a point against the league leaders, scoring a couple of goals, which has been a wee bit of a problem for them recently. Not a bad outcome for Stephen Robinson either.
Yeah, I think so, because obviously scoring a couple of goals at home, I think they've got beat the last 3 games leading into that, so they needed some sort of positive result going into this semi-final at the weekend, because Motherwell, obviously, on the other hand, are playing great football, had 2 wins in the bounds, so it'll be an interesting tie that at the weekend.
Well, we spoke at the top about the need for Celtic to get a result under Martin O'Neill and Rangers to get a result under Danny Roll. Jimmy Thelin at Aberdeen really did need a result, and he got one last night against Kilmarnock, John. I think Kelly will have come away wondering how they didn't get something from that game. They were well on top in that second half, but again, as we said about Rangers, the result, but also the clean sheet will have delighted Jimmy Thelin.
Yeah, well, that's their 3rd clean sheet in four league games. Hibs beat them obviously at the weekend, but 3rd clean sheet in 4, 3 wins out of 4. If you take the AK Athens battering out of that, I think you would be hard pushed to say that Aberdeen aren't slightly getting together with the new signings they've made and getting a wee bit of an semblance of form back in their run. But I just sometimes think Aberdeen fans are quick to jump on it. I think whilst they're building what they're building, appointing new heads of recruitment, bringing in a manager, trying to bring in a new style, trying to kind of set themselves up for success over maybe 5 or 10 years rather than the next 18 to 24 months. They won a Scottish Cup 6 months ago. Like, Aberdeen fans would God, Rangers fans would kill for that now. You know what I mean? So I do think sometimes you maybe just have to suffer a little bit. I know the form at the end of the league season was dreadful. I know they were terrible getting that cup final. But see when you finish it off with a cup final win against Celtic in the European football, and I see shoots of it. I do think Kilmarnock, kind of watching the highlights now, Kilmarnock are very good, very dangerous with set plays. They should have scored 3 or 4 actually from corners. But that's going to be Scottish football. Let's see if you can nick wins and get 1-0 wins away from home. I think Aberdeen will be fine. It just really depends if the fans are willing to go with them or not.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if he can get things moving again, Jimmy Thelin. And for Kelly, as we say, Lee, Stuart Kettle will be dead frustrated that they didn't turn some of that pressure in the second half into something last night.
It will be, yeah, and I think Kilmarnock are always going to try and make that place a fortress, and it normally is. And that I didn't see that result coming last night, if I'm honest. Hard place to go. Aberdeen going all the way down there, and everybody will talk about the artificial pitch. But yeah, to go down there and get a clean sheet with Kilmarnock's forward players and their threat going forward, I think it's a really good result for Aberdeen. But Kettle, I think Kilmarnock will be fine as well. I've seen them a couple of times. They've got a good bit of grit and dig, and they've got goals throughout their team as well. So it'll be interesting. But I'm just looking at the league now. It's so tight. Aberdeen are 10th with 10 points. That's 4 points off a 4th. Like, that's a couple of wins, you're up into third, fourth position, which is crazy. So, yeah, for everybody talking about Aberdeen's terrible season so far, they're actually still in about it. A couple of results changes everything in the league table, so it's interesting from a neutral point of view. It's good to see.
Yeah, and exactly that. Motherwell beating Dundee United last night, John. Motherwell move up to fifth in the table. What did you make of that? And do you think they're starting to get things going again? We know they've been playing some lovely stuff without maybe the results to follow.
Yeah, I know. Like Motherwell are the kind of example as to what I expected to see Rangers kind of go with. To be honest, it's they are probably I like that style of football. So Motherwell are probably the team I've enjoyed watching the most this year. I'm glad the results are following, because there was only so many times you could argue with their pals. They're the best side to watch, and then they go out, but they've still not won a game after 6. So them starting to put wins together. I know you hear a lot about this in football, about your process will get you results in the end, but I think he's been bang on the money, this manager. I think he's proven, the proof is in the pudding. He's got a semi-final come this weekend. He's starting to put wins on the board, starting to score goals. They've got some really good, talented footballers. The boy Just is probably my favourite player this season just now. I think he's absolutely exceptional. Just goes to show you what a bit of knowledge and recruitment around different leagues can do for you. I like them. I think they're going to be really, really good. I think they will start climbing the table. But again, I have no idea until these second round of fixtures are finished, because a couple of defeats again, they don't go through to the final, and I go, oh, or alternatively, they go through to the final and they get a little bit distracted by the next 4 or 5 weeks because they've got a cup final to look forward to. Because let's be clear, to be fair, whoever goes through it, a Motherwell, St Mirren, I think they've got to fancy their chances against whichever one of the old firm they get. So they could both get a little bit distracted. But Motherwell, yeah, so enjoyable to watch. I'm glad the goals and the wins are starting to come, because it does kind of put pay to what people have been saying about them. I know all the players have been quite, well, I say it all. Andy Halliday's the one that's on most media, but he's been very clear in the fact that they do have a very specific way to play. He doesn't want to change from that. I do like that they go direct as well. I keep saying that. It's not just... Well, I know they clipped the Celtic goal and then they clipped the Peterhead goal they conceded in the League Cup, and go, how much is too much? And you go, yeah, but they do go direct if they have to. So it is mixed up quite well. I think they're a really well-rounded team, and I think, again, as long as they don't get any injuries to people like Just or Malakwesha, they'll be really, really good.
Yeah, interesting times for Motherwell. Interesting times in the Scottish Premiership. You'd be a fool to try and predict what will happen next. Guys, it's been a real pleasure to talk to you this morning. Thanks to John Walker and Lee Miller, and thanks to you for listening. Remember, we're here with new episodes of the Scottish Football Podcast bright and early every day, so to make sure you don't miss out, subscribe on BBC Sounds and have push notifications turned on your phone. But for now, from Lee, from John and from me, thanks for listening.
It's petty, it's ill-informed.
Are President Trump's cuts having an adverse effect on research?
It's pandemonium.
What number's that in the periodic table?
PD, number 47. I don't know.
I've done the shooting clays before. The longer you do it, the sorer obviously it gets.
When Craig said there he'd been shooting the clays, I imagined him out a back line. Somebody's washing, you know.
William Shatner, his secretary, contacted me to say, when Bill has a question now and again, can he contact you? And then one time he called me up and he wanted to know, David, what is a photon? I'm thinking, this is incredible. Captain Kirk wants to know what a photon is, you know?
I once met a guy who referred to a globe as a ball map. A ball map.
A ball map.
Look at the ball map. What we normally do is spin the ball map and we see where we go on holiday.
The Off the Ball podcast, available every Monday on BBC Sounds.